Hey everyone, it's Devin Francis, also known as Dr. Blackbird.
And I'm covered in mosquito bites. I just found two. That's not fair. I thought I only had maybe one.
And count them down, guys. 28 hours to go. It's happening.
My favorite hour of the day is morning.
Yeah, so it turns out we do have distinct episode names after all, and that's actually something I wanted to talk to you about,
Do
Victoria.
we know what the other titles are? Or
Nope,
are we gonna guess?
we're going to guess.
I have a guess. You say what you were gonna say first.
Well, I was just going to kind of spitball it with you. I haven't really thought in depth, but I would assume uh, morning, afternoon, evening, dusk, something like that, and like midnight, uh, twilight,
Mm-hmm.
morning again, and lunch? Question mark.
I want to hear my guess.
Sure.
Okay, so it's gonna be 6 episodes, right?
Yes.
So first we got morning,
Mm-hmm.
then we got elevensies,
Mm-hmm.
then we got lunch, then we got afternoon tea, then we got dinner, and then we got supper.
That's all interesting names for a span of 28 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a cool naming convention for a real time span of episodes that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
lay out like that over
And
a
if
span of time.
someone dies before this is done, they can name the last episode Morning with You.
Morning what?
Morning with a U.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, episode 900, and I guess we don't even know what the second episode in this review is yet at this point.
11sies.
Yeah. So I feel like noon is too plain, so I'm gonna guess afternoon. Also, noon is technically just like a single minute of the day, and when you think about I mean, how much time? Several hours passed in this episode alone, right? So, um, I feel like we'd be onto the afternoon at this point. Like by the end of this episode, it's time for like the early afternoon. Episode three
I
is maybe like dinner time.
I don't even know where to start
So,
with
episode
this one.
946, Morning, written by Kathy Buchanan. What happens in part one of album 73, 28 Hours?
I don't know if this is fair, but we've done this in the past. So much of my expectations for what is going to come regarding certain things have to do with the fact that Kathy wrote this episode, and I'm assuming she's writing the other
I believe
parts.
so. I believe she wrote the whole album.
Yeah, because if it was someone who wasn't Kathy, I would maybe be a little worried that this would be like Jillian getting written out of the series.
Hmm.
But Connie needs more female friends her own age Buchanan. I'm hoping she wouldn't do that.
And I mean, that's something that we called from the album description. We predicted that there was going to be that Jillian has some secret background that we don't know about, and there'll be a fake out where we think she's a bad guy, but it turns out she's actually a good guy. Like, we predicted that already in the
I
past.
don't remember that, but that
Because
sounds
the
right.
album description was like, is anyone in town who they say they are? And we're like, so that logically, out of the main characters, it's probably about Jillian.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, we're probably going to be like, oh, Jillian was lying to us, and so we're going to think she was a bad guy the whole time. But then it'll turn out like, oh, she is keeping secrets, but she's actually a good guy. And then this episode ended with Jillian like that, and I was like, okay, so it's probably exactly what we predicted.
They're like holding I feel like a horse with like a carrot being held in front of my face. And it's just like if I flip the carrot over, it'll say if Jillian is a Christian or not. And it just keeps getting like pulled away
And I'm
from me.
behind you, hitting you with the stick.
Yeah. So this episode opens. Can I do the summary?
Yes,
Okay. This episode opens with Connie on that shipping grind. Do we have a ship name for Jillian?
Jillson,
Jilson?
you know that. We
I
said it 100
forgot.
times.
I forgot what it was though. Um, Connie shipping Jilson being like, "Hey Jason, Jillian," and then she like names a bunch of stuff like it's Pride and Prejudice. And just like Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice, Jason's like, she doesn't meet any of my criteria.
She's mid.
Um, and then Connie's just like, and what a way to open the album. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was so worried a minute after this because they like go to the antique shop because Jillian closed it the day before and Jason's opening it and it looks like there was a break-in. Also, like the shop isn't open and Jillian was supposed to have opened it already that day, I believe.
The ship is open and ready
The
for
ship
business.
is open, the shop isn't, and Jason's mad. He's just like, Jillian can't do anything. And I'm like, stop talking about her that way. I was like, Jason is gonna find out Jillian was kidnapped,
Uh-huh.
and he is gonna feel so bad because he keeps on insulting her and saying that she's like incompetent and everything. And it's gonna be like she was actually kidnapped, and that's why she didn't do any of that stuff. But I was like, no, she slept through her alarm. And I was just like, you know what, honey? You can do whatever you want, Jillian. I love you so much. Jillian Marshall is just the most iconic character in all of Odyssey. And she has done nothing wrong, will continue to do nothing wrong, even if she does the most heinous things by the end of this album. I don't care. She was right to do that. She was in the right. Everyone else, she caught them slacking. They should have prepared better.
Jillian will gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss her way out of this one.
Yeah, I know she can. Jillian is just such an amazing character to me. Because I know we've said this a ton of times, but she's just so unique. And she's like so refreshing. And it would be so easy to just make her like a one-note character.
Mm-hmm.
Or to make her like comedic relief and that's it. But
or
she's,
to
like,
take her qualities and just make it like a bad thing. Like she's the example of what not to be, which is what we thought.
And she's just so multifaceted. And I love everything about Jillian Marshall. She makes me so happy.
Anyways, what happens next?
There's this old guy who's like prone outside the store or something like that. He was instantly like, I'm Professor probably red herring or evil.
My name is Colonel Mustard.
And I was instantly like, don't trust this guy at all in any way, shape, or form. What about you?
You're still giving the summary. I want to wait until you're done with the summary.
I don't remember his name.
It was Dr. Something British.
Dr. Something British gets taken to the hospital to treat his injuries, slight amnesia from being attacked or whatever.
Concussion, no amnesia.
Whatever, he forgot what he was doing. He remembers like a minute later.
Well, yeah, that was just kind of being dazed from getting hit in the head.
Like I said, slight amnesia.
That's not what that is.
So Jason and Whit and Pullhouse check the security cameras. They find that a display was broken into at Triple J's. Also, I want it to be changed to Quadruple J's before the album is over. And I think Jillian and Jason should have a kid. Name that kid J. Name Quintuple J's. So there was like this, what was it, like a spoon or something?
It was a watch.
It was a watch. I don't know where I got spoon from. I think of old antiques. I think of those tiny spoons. There's this watch that was stolen from a display case. They find the watch at the very end of the episode, so... Jason goes out to do like a delivery for the shop to take stuff somewhere. His car gets hit by this random country dude. Sounds like he escaped the animated portions from Song of the South. And the guy's obviously I don't know, gonna kill him or something like that. And he's trying to like take him to the hospital. Calls Wit, tells him he's going to the hospital. Doesn't end up there, gets kidnapped. We don't see him again for the rest of the episode, I believe. And Pull House, his crew are looking around for clues and stuff. They find like this outfit that they think
they didn't find it.
Jillian finds an outfit, like the girl boss she is, that the person who broke into the building was wearing. She touches it so many times. I was just sitting there and I was just like, if Jillian is the one who did this, she just like isn't a suspect anymore, because they're not going to think it's Jillian, obviously. And all the fingerprints, because she's touching it a million times, and she's the only one they know have touched it, 'cause she's holding it in front of them.
There was blood on it, to be fair.
There's also blood on it, but that doesn't mean it's her blood.
Well, no, I'm saying even if the fingerprints are contaminated, there's still the blood of the actual person who got cut on.
Someone else's blood, but I was thinking, like, if Jillian broke in, and this is her shirt, and she is the one who finds it first, that she just touches it a ton of times. When they like run the fingerprints on it, they're gonna be like, okay, take away all of Jillian's fingerprints, let's see who else's. I was just like, she's smarter than all of them, and she's outplaying them. And then everyone at Wit's End, like, wait, Connie, Jillian is there, she's not supposed to be there. Jillian is just never where she's supposed to be in this episode, but it's all according to K-pop.
She's just so ditzy today. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Whimsical. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's doing everything. She knows what she's doing. I'll get back to that later. We have been saying this for years, though, but I will get back to that later. I digress. We called this years ago, but I digress. But we did call it. And so then Jillian and everyone find out that Jason was kidnapped. And then Jillian and Connie have this moment where they're talking to each other, and Jillian is blaming herself, and I was just like freaking out because she's just like, Connie, this is all my fault. If I hadn't done this and this, Jason wouldn't be there right now. And then Connie's just like, it's not your fault. And then Jillian's like, he means a lot to me. And I was just like,
oh, sorry, what was it that Connie said to her again in response to that?
I don't know.
I think it was I know how you feel about him.
Yeah, something like, and that's why Connie was wingmanning at the beginning of the episode. It's just,
maybe so.
It's just, it really do. It sometimes it don't be like that, but other times it do be.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna say means Jillian is a Christian, because I don't think Connie would be doing this otherwise, because she knows what happened last time.
Fair point.
And then Jillian walks outside right after that, and she gets on the phone, and she's just like, she does that thing that all the characters that you sometimes really suspect, and sometimes you're like, oh, gasp, do. But since we're us, we called this years ago, where she's just like, hey, it's me. Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. And then, like, the episode ends.
You know also, how everyone answers the phone when they're hiding secrets? Hi, it's me.
Full House, top form misogyny this episode in a way we have not experienced since Green Ring. I want his adoptive mother to come in here and have a talk to him.
Smack him upside the head. I want his adoptive grandson to come in here and teach him a lesson about...
He was so unpleasant in this episode, but I do know of people who do talk like that, so...
I mean, the blind dating stuff was fine, because he was like, I don't have anything against vegetarians, just don't, like, attack me for my own diet. Totally valid. But then he said the sandwich thing, and I was like... Whoa, hey there, like, hey, Dawn, overplayed male stand-ups from 1965 are calling. They want their tight five back.
And then he kept talking, and I was just like, this scene is still going. What happened to Jillian? Where's Jill? And then, like, everyone's just so mean to Jillian in this episode, except for Connie.
So, Yeah, it's
Every
funny.
single time Jillian shows her face, they're just like, it's the bimbo again. And I was like, piss off, leave her alone. And then the only thing that kept me just being like, you know what? Is the fact that Jillian is outplaying all of them and probably going to murder them all by the end of this
At
six-parter.
the start of the episode, Connie is literally explicitly matchmaking Jillson, and the wheels are turning.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jason's like, I don't think she really meets all of these many criteria. And I was like, it is. I can't believe you don't think Jillian is all of the things that you said. That is so embarrassing for you, Jason.
I
But then,
know. So, like, the first thing is godly, like I said. Never specifically stated, but Connie wouldn't be
and
doing
he's
this
like
if she
smart
wasn't.
and adventurous and
Smart enough. Have you and I been
creative.
experiencing a different
Yeah.
character, Jason? Whatever. He is so far in denial. He's just upset about the fact that he's in love with Jillian.
Anyways, I was like, I can't believe he doesn't think she's all these things. She's amazing. And then she spends the entire episode just like having one epic fail after another. And I was like, oh, Jillian, you're really not making the case well today.
Yeah, I know.
But then at the end, I
too.
was like, oh, that's why she seemed so uncharacteristically like off today. Because she was doing it on purpose.
She was masterminding. She's Mukuro Ikusawa,
The
the
16th
student
at Hope's
in
Peak.
Within these halls. The ultimate despair.
So
Watch out for her.
we find out that Paul House has been going on blind dates, and I was like, that's not even an episode. That's a whole album unto itself. But then he takes a really heavy swing there with the misogyny thing about like, women can't live with him.
It made me think of like the Green Ring bit where he's talking about like his ex.
But that was a funny joke.
I don't like hearing Full House talk about women. I want the next album art to just be the "I'm sorry, woman" hat.
To be fair, the joke he made in Green Ring was more about how his ex couldn't stand him.
Yeah, that's true. I barely remember what the joke is.
It was like, my wife, she died of a heart attack, and the other lady was like, she was probably faking it. It was basically the gist of the joke.
Oh, yeah.
And the other lady was Savage, and they had very funny Savage chemistry at each other, so that was great. This was just like, whoa. Like, I didn't... Ugh. But the most exciting thing that Paul House brings to the episode is his partner, which is, in this episode, Officer Stew Burke is back for the first time since before the hiatus. We have not heard this character from Marshall for a very long time, and then after he showed up, all I could hear was, like, "You Have the Right" from Odyssey Sings playing in my head. So.
Oh, was it? I thought he was also in, like, the episode with Tasha.
Which episode?
From 50.
He's in something in 50.
I thought he was like in the Whisperer stuff, and like he got like hit by a sleeping dart. Or something.
Maybe he's in like 6 or 7 episodes pre-hiatus.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I hear the name Officer Stew Burke, the first thing I hear in my head is when he's being announced for Odyssey Sings to come up.
I heard his name. I was like, my clumsy boy. He's back. There's this character from Ace Attorney called Detective Meekins, and that's just how I visualize Burke. I'm going to show you a picture
of... So, yeah, Jason is driving, and then he's like, oh no, there's a car pulled off the road, and he's like, whoa, it just came back onto the road super fast, but it's heading right at me. And I was like, uh-oh. And it crashes onto him, and then Old Man McGucket gets out of the car. And
I was look at this guy. Tell me that's not
I was like,
what Burke would look like.
Seems pretty weird that someone would pull out onto the road and be like, oh no, I couldn't help but drive straight into you, like on the wrong side of the road at high speeds. That seems a little sus. It's very suspicious, and it's like, well, obviously someone, ignoring the episode we've heard so far, we know enough about this album to know someone has some grand scheme against Jason or something that Jason has, so they're like...
They don't want Jason and Jillian to be together because they know they would be unstoppable as a couple.
someone broke into the antique shop already, maybe connected to this doctor guy who's a friend of Dr. Calhoun's. Um, and he broke into a display cabinet where they had the fancy special watch that was like a big ticket item, but specifically like blacked out the security cameras, so they already had reconnaissance. And it's like, well, maybe they just, perfect witness style, they stole the watch to cover up what they were actually stealing, which is then backed up when Jillian finds the watch, and it's like, okay, it is like the perfect witness. Like, they only took the money to disguise what they were really after, which maybe they got, maybe they didn't. Maybe they were after Jason, and they were like, oh, Jason isn't here, darn it.
Maybe they left, and then Jillian found them when she was on her way to open the store and disposed of them, and that's why she knew.
And the doctor didn't notice?
Yes. I don't trust that guy.
I mean, it also could have been Jillian.
It could have been Jillian. At the beginning
because
of
he
the
made it clear
episode
he made it clear in his description of the event that he assumed it was a man, but he didn't know.
He said 6 foot, which kind of immediately made me go, I don't think Jillian is 6 foot, but the idea of, because
we guessed that the album art is Jillian, and the person in the robbery was also wearing a ski mask, so that immediately made my mind connected to it.
But that made me think that, like, the guy who has Jason kidnapped, Old Man McGucket, is the guy on the album artwork.
Maybe.
But,
maybe not.
Oh, how funny would it be if this album was just Jason getting kidnapped by a bunch of different people over and over again, like Obi-Wan series style with Leia? Have you watched the Obi-Wan series?
I have not watched it.
Never mind.
It, no.
But the idea, on second thought, of Jillian being 6 foot tall and Jason not being 6 foot and having to look up at Jillian is the funniest thing.
Looking up is a strong term. How short do you think Jason is?
Short enough that he needs to look up at Jillian. She's oh so tall and powerful. He's like, here is my tall, powerful spy wife.
So
I've listened to, I think the episodes I've listened the most to, that live most rent-free in my brain post-hiatus, are A Very Bassett Wedding.
Obviously.
Because, yeah. And
Nightmares by Constance.
Nightmares by Constance. And it's just, the main thing with Nightmares by Constance is me re-listening to it, not just for all the Jillian bits, but especially for the Jillian, Jason fake married bits. Because they're just like, chef's kiss. They're just so good every single time. Only get better with time. Actually, my appreciation just grows, even though I've heard those episodes so many times. Just peak cultural reset. It's amazing.
We already know, like, okay, clearly someone was after something in the shop, especially once we have the later context that the watch is not what they were after. So they were trying to get some kind of information. Whether or not they got what they were looking for, we don't know. And then we know Jason obviously is going to get kidnapped because album art. And then he gets into this very sus car accident. And the guy's like, oh, I'm so sorry. My daughter says I shouldn't be driving anymore.
Not since the war.
This new car, I'm getting used to it and stuff.
This newfangled contraption they created called
thingamajig.
Cars. Have you heard of it? Jason's like, yes, I know what a car is.
I'm going into more of a crazy old man and less of a southern country old man.
Country road.
Point being, he's like insists that he calls an ambulance, and Jason's like, "No, I'm fine." Which, absolutely, I mean, you should call an ambulance. You should not be driving after getting into that collision.
I ripped my own IV out of my arm. Yeah.
Anyways, the ambulance arrives, and Whit gets through to Jason on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. The ambulance is coming, and I'll just wait for him." And they're trying to, like, check his pupils for dilation and stuff. And he's like, yeah, get it on with and just hurry. They're like, sir, please just let us go through with this. And they didn't give the immediate appearance that they were obviously uh, fake people there to kidnap him, but I definitely had the thought at this point, like, oh, he's not going to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, I knew it was sketchy ever since he got hit. I
It
just
was,
had the
yeah, it was sketchy,
idea
and he was like so insistent on it. I was like, this isn't a real ambulance. I've seen this move before.
I just
They
had the
mentioned Wankel's
idea
Automotives
of
for the
like,
first time in a very long time, since album 44.
what if Jillian and Jason, AU, they get stuck in a time loop.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know why. They can't get
A
out
28-hour time loop.
until they fall in love.
Maybe that's what this album is.
I hope so.
The next episode is Morning Again.
I want there to be a moment in this album where Jillian, with her martial arts skills, beats someone in a fight.
Her martial double L martial art
Art
skills.
skills. I want two things. One, she beats someone in a
Double
fight.
L martial double L skills.
And Jason is watching, and he's just like very attracted. And then he bonus points if he doesn't realize it's Jillian at first because he doesn't see her face, and then he does, and he's just like, no.
I feel like Spy Family has probably done a lot for your thoughts and headcanons about.
But the thing is, Lloyd, like Twilight and Yor don't know anything about each other. They're just like, they have such unreasonable standards of how human beings act because they're both so weird that they see the other person do the most buck-wild things, and they're like, ah, yes, it is a normal human being thing to just casually fight a shark single-handed while blindfolded.
I didn't know that they didn't know that the other.
No one knows anything about each other. That's part of the appeal.
That's my favorite kind of relationship.
Yeah. But another thing I would love, more bonus points if Jillian is like masked and then possibly the mask comes off halfway through this interaction. She gets in a fight with Jason, like physical fight, and she's like winning, and then Jason like pulls her mask off and he's like, Jillian, and then she just like, I don't know, knocks him out or something. I don't know. I just want like
sucker punch.
I want her to be a better fighter than Jason. I want Jason to be impressed by her fighting prowess.
Jason's gonna sound like Bart Rathbone when he got beat up by Chad Pearson.
I want Jason to have this moment in the album where he's just like, oh no, I got feelings for Jillian. Because I think he has feelings for Jillian, but he's so far in denial that he doesn't even want to like approach that part of his brain. But like, I want him to just have this like, oh, fan fiction moment.
It was already one thing at the top of the episode when Connie was like hinting things, and I was like, oh, I didn't think that. I mean, obviously, so at the beginning we were like, oh, this would be funny and great. And then it reached the point where we're like, oh, I think they're actually going in this direction.
And then Connie just blatantly saying at the beginning of the episode, I was like watering the plants outside, and I was just like, I'm gonna drop the hose and just cover myself.
I was like, I didn't think we were gonna move that fast to Connie being like, hey, Jason, I think you should be in love with Jillian. And then on top of that, before the end of said same episode,
Jillian being soft for Jason.
And Connie being like, yeah, I know how you feel about him. And I was like, okay, so Connie was wingmanning on Jillian's request.
We love that. We love that for them.
And then Jillian goes out and is like, hey, it's me. Yeah, it's all going according to Kikaku. And I was like...
You know who I hope was on the other end of the phone?
Yes, I do.
Who?
Mr. Rydell.
No.
Okay.
I was gonna say, it'd be really funny if, like, Jules was on the other end of the phone, and it's just, like, the three of them trying to get, like, Jillian with Jason, and they're just like, okay, he's at the hospital, Jules is like, I got you some flowers, we're gonna bring him flowers to the hospital, and then Jillian's like, okay, change the plan, I'm gonna use my spy prowess to find out where he is, and I'm gonna save him in the romantic fashion, like, the most romantic fashion possible, and Jules is like, okay, you got this, and Jillian's like, yeah, I got this.
I thought you were going to say Jules is on the other side of the phone and Jillian was talking about something that had nothing to do with Jason
I think that would
or
also
the break-in
be
at the antique shop.
Like,
Um,
I kind of do want something like that, just to be like this whole subplot. I did think about that in
mhm.
this album, where it's just like
I just
Jillian
like the
is
way
being like
her,
really
like she just
shady.
drops the voice. What
Yeah.
if she just had like a thick Russian accent or something all of a sudden?
She's just like being so shady, and she's like, yeah, the plan is moving forward. And it's just like her planning, like, I don't know, a birthday party for Jason or something like that
Exactly,
as
yeah.
the album goes on.
Literally, when she changed, when her voice dropped like that and got all serious on the phone call, I was like, "Has Jillian been Monica Stone the entire time?"
Oh my gosh. And Jason's just face blind. He's face blind like Henri from Cinderella.
Uh huh.
I I don't know. I'm if this is Jillian being written off of the show, I'm gonna be really sad.
No, 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 no. So the question is, does she work for the NSA then? Has she been sent to keep watch on Jason?
I
Like,
think I
did
think
she
we have
come to
three
Odyssey?
possibilities. This literally covers every single person ever, so
Uh
I don't
huh.
know if it means much. One, there's literally nothing spy going on with her. It's just it's just to mess with the audience, which would be really funny. Two,
I feel like it would be a little. I don't. I like the joke of it, but I feel like in this setting, it would be too much of a
yeah,
letdown to be a payoff, an adequate payoff as a red herring.
yeah. Two, she is from the NSA. Three, she is an enemy spy.
Well, she could be a good guy who's not from the NSA. She could be from a different
Yeah.
organization, like a non-governmental organization. Is there
Enemy
something?
spy.
So, is there some code hidden in the watch? Do you think there's some like Nazi super virus from World War II or something in the
Are you
codes, like
calling
in the
Jillian a Nazi?
no, in the watch? What the bad guys are after?
Oh, you mean like that Ryan Reynolds Gal Gadot The Rock movie? Where they were like, let's throw Nazis in here like 2 hours in.
No, I can't remember now. Where was the watch from? Was it from World War II?
I don't remember. I was too
I
busy
couldn't
thinking
I
about
couldn't remember.
Jillian.
I was like, maybe it was World War II. If so, I'm just trying to figure out how was the fate of the world pinged on. And I guess it's not the watch because they left the watch behind,
Unless.
unless whatever they wanted was in the watch, but they removed it
That is
and then
possible.
left the watch behind. Like like they take the faceplate off or the back plate off, and there's like a little note in there or something like that, or microfiche, something like that.
Yeah. I just don't. If Jillian was the one who robbed the shop, I just don't
Why
understand
would she do it like that?
why she would do it like that. She could just. Because now, after this episode, we know there are times where, like, she's the only one working in the
Yeah,
shop.
but then Jason would know it would have to be her unless there was some big break-in.
I mean, if the watch was a red herring and she doesn't actually need it, and it was just, like, a piece of information she needed, then,
That's
like,
true. Well, we
that
still
doesn't
don't
make
know, was it
sense.
something physical that was stolen, right? Even if it was information, did they have to take physical papers or did they just need to like find and read something or take pictures?
I don't
If
know.
something physical was stolen, you would, even if it was Jillian, you'd want to stage a break-in. I personally, I feel it's less than likely that Jillian was the person who broke in.
I
I
think.
don't I don't think that she was manipulating the thing all over in order to do that. Honestly, because we think she's a good guy, we think the person who broke in is a bad
I think
guy. If
she is the best
the
gal
best guy,
ever. She's
if we
best girl.
posit that, I would say maybe the reason that she grabbed the sweater was not so she could get her
It's because she
fingerprints
was
all over it.
cold.
Because picture this, there was a pretty decent chance that Paul House would have already found the sweater before she got to it, right?
Yeah.
It was just in the dumpster. She had no way of knowing that he wouldn't get there first and she wouldn't get a chance to contaminate it
Your
with her
sticky little
fingerprints.
paws all over it.
Yeah,
Like a
so it's more
raccoon.
likely that they hadn't found it yet. Jillian knew that it was there, but she couldn't let them know that. But she's like, you guys need to hurry up and figure this out faster. And so I need to pretend to be like, oh, look, I found a clue.
I definitely
Oh, there's a
think
watch in the
she.
corner. I guess the watch wasn't the thing. Huh, that's funny. Here's a bunch of clues to help you figure it out faster
I
because you
definitely
guys
think she
aren't
did that
getting
on
it.
purpose and she knew where it was. I also think that if there was ever a proposal within this relationship, Jillian would propose with either a ring she got from like a vending machine like a little plastic one. Or she would be like, Jason, I want to propose to you. And she would do it with like a ring. She like
It's like a
pickpocketed
crown jewel.
out of like one of the display cases from the antique shop, and Jason would be like, you haven't even paid for that. And she'd be like, but I have my employee discount. And Jason's like, I know exactly how much this ring costs. And she's like, that's not the point. The point is we're
it's
in
my
love.
one finger discount, as they say.
But part of me is almost a little disappointed, even though I know I said we wanted this. Also, part of me was, after this episode, was like, did we do this?
No. Absolutely not. The writing was on the wall from the first episode she showed up.
But no, I just mean Jillian being a spy.
Oh, I see.
Because how much
No, because I mean, like we said, we had came up with this idea because of an episode where she was extremely proficient at being a spy.
Yeah.
I would just say we were good at picking up on foreshadowing, which we thought was a joke at the time.
Part of me is just like, is it funnier the fact that she's been a spy this whole time and just Jason never picked up on it? Or the idea that she genuinely just was a civilian and like yet even better at being a spy than he was, even though he'd been a spy for like 2 decades, which I think that one is kind of funnier, but like it is also funny to think that he's known her this whole time and they're like partners at their business and he didn't know she was a spy.
It would be even better if she
became a spy after Nightmares by Constance and he still didn't figure it out.
No, if she assumed, if she is from the NSA and she's there to work with Jason and she just assumed that he knew because it was so obvious. And so when his back is up against the wall, his back's up against the wall and she like kicks down the door and like back to back with him with the gun. He's like, what are you doing here? And she was like, came for backup. He's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you know, like,
and he's like, how did you get a gun? Did you steal someone's
She's like,
gun?
I took it from our safe house. He's like, what do you mean our safe house?
You know, our safe house. She holds up her finger. There's a ring on it. He holds up his finger. There's also a ring on it. He's like, ah! It's like that
I reverse
bit from
pickpocketed
Gravity
you.
Falls where Dipper holds up his hand. There's like a turkey drawn on his hand from Phil Sayer.
Yeah, I just like the idea that she was like, yeah, you know how we've been working this operation for the last couple months.
Funny.
I've been undercover, living with Connie and stuff, and she just assumed that Jason knew she was a spy the whole time, and
oh, it'd be so funny.
And then there's the flashback to all the things that she said to him that just went over Jason's head completely.
Oh, I was always there, Jason. She's carried away by drones.
Exactly.
But I want it to just be increasingly obvious. They do like a flashback montage where she's just like, the code, whatever. And he's just like, or like maybe he's like writing something down, like filling out a form, and she says like a code phrase to him, and he just like automatically says the answer response without even thinking about it, like not even actually listening. And she's like, okay, he's in on it. And she walks away, and Jason's like, what was I talking about? And then just other things where she's like, I moved like the shipment to the back or something, and he was like, thanks, I told you to move the boxes. And the last one just literally her being like, I'm a spy. Exactly, and he's just like, what?
And then she walks away and Jason takes out his AirPods.
Yeah. Oh no, he's listening to his AirPods. He
couldn't hear your spy confession.
The fireworks were too loud. He wasn't able to hear.
So that is Morning.
I want Jillian's personality to be exactly the same, even if she does end up being like a super top secret cool spy.
It would have been funny if her voice, like her intonation, didn't change for that phone call at all, and she was still being like,
"Hey,
it's me. Yeah, plan's all moving according to plan."
She says like the most just Jillian lines ever. Like,
in the most tense moments.
But like in
moments.
A deep voice. I realized in this episode though, because I don't know if I've said it before.
Jason, I'm literally gobsmacked that you couldn't figure this one out. It's gonna turn into like Junko Enoshima, which she's like being all somber.
I did realize who she reminds me of, why I love Jillian so much immediately.
Oh.
I don't think you've ever seen any of this show, but you've probably seen clips. The Looney Tunes show that
I
has
mean,
like Lola in it, and she's played
uh-huh.
by one of the actors from like Bridesmaids. She is just
You're talking about
peak.
the current or more modern run of it.
Yeah, yeah, because there's only like two main Lolas. There's like the Space Jam one, the new
Mm-hmm.
Space Jam one, and then there are like three, and then the Looney Tunes show. I'll show you a clip after. But she just has like peak
No, I know what
Jillian
you're talking
Marshall
about. Yeah.
energy. Aside from the fact that she literally is basically like yandere for Bugs, and Jillian is not like that for Jason that we
Mm-hmm.
know of. That could change. The album is still going, but she probably will kill a man before this album's
Yeah,
over to
Jillian
say
axe
Jason.
murders all the bad guys.
And yet we would still be Jillian apologists and not regret it. They kidnapped someone. That's wrong. She was right to axe murder all of them. Yes, queen. Okay.
Slay,
Slay queen.
literally.
Uh Anything else to say? Predictions that we haven't said yet.
Um, I'm gonna.
Jason gets saved by Jillian. I feel like I made that one clear.
Yeah, I mean, not yet. I'm gonna
Not
guess
yet.
we. I'm gonna guess we get to at least episode 4 before a regular character like realizes Jillian has something properly sus going on, and that like they're like, "Hey, you shouldn't know that, or you have something to do with it." They're gonna suspect her. I don't
I
think we'll.
think
I think it'll be at least episode 4
I
before we
think
hit that
Wit
point.
is gonna notice it first.
Yeah,
I
probably.
think Jason's gonna notice it last. Jason, literally last scene, last line of this album is gonna be like, "Hey, have you guys noticed Jillian's acting weird? She's like literally like in full leather. She's like
Cut
a
to black.
gun in her hand.
Uh-huh.
She's like an eye
Um,
patch or something. She's not missing an eye. She's
I
just
yeah,
Jillian, so she has an eye patch when she's
I
going in
feel
spy
like yeah,
mode."
either Connie or Wit is gonna at some point be like, "Wait, how did you know about that?" And then even though she's
Let's be
a
honest, it's
good
gonna
guy,
be Wit because
she's gonna have
like
to tie them up because she's like,
Jillian's
You
lived with
can't."
Connie.
There's already wheels turning right now, and you can't interfere with the plans that are already going on. So I'm gonna have to like tie you up.
One, Jillian has been living with Connie this whole time. Connie's never been suspicious of anything. Two, Connie's too focused on matchmaking right now. Three, Connie's always got to be out of the loop, except for this time because Jason needs to find out last.
See, that's why I thought it would be poignant if Connie is the one who is just in the loop enough to realize, like, wait a minute. But
The
then
one
she gets,
time Connie is in the loop, she's like, "No, I don't want to be in the loop. I want to focus on my matchmaking. This is so inconvenient to me."
yeah. Um, yeah, it was an exciting start. I didn't think that we would get like, oh, Jillian is suspicious and Jillian actually likes Jason like so soon.
I'm
I
glad
was
we
I was
did.
surprised with both of those that they happened as soon as they did. We got callbacks with Officer Stew Burke coming back and mention of Wankel's Automotives. So that surprised me. But we usually get more callback heavy stuff when we get like this kinds of like longer, more intense things
Dev, do you have
because
any idea how many times I've thought about that scene where Jillian's talking about her feelings about Jason to Connie since I listened to this episode?
this is probably a lot.
It's a lot. I just really care about him. And I was just like, I just really care about you, Jill.
Yeah.
I want Jillian Marshall to get the biggest, most sincere, most heartfelt apology from Jason. I wish I knew his last name Whitaker before his middle name Whitaker before this album is over. And also a proposal. I want Jillian to propose still.
The proposal or the acceptance of Jillian's proposal will just be step 1 of his recompense for all the mean things.
Jason's like, "How
that
can
he
I make
said.
it up to you?" And Jillian's like, "Well," and she pulls out a ring. And he's like, "Did you steal that from the display cabinet when you robbed the shop?" And she's just like, "I'll never tell."
She's like, it's not stealing if I give it to you, the owner.
True. True. I just made Mom watch a couple nights ago our Go West Young Man video.
Uh-huh.
And there was another bit, I think it's still really funny, that we heard where the ex-deputy or mayor, whoever, the mayor is like, brr, 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 I never should have made Dylan and Eugene, like, in charge. And you were like, maybe I shouldn't have put this 8-year-old in charge of the town. And then one of us, it might have been me, was like, we should make Dalton, the villain in that episode, the sheriff. And then we were like, yeah, because if you make the bad guy the sheriff, he can't do crimes anymore because he'll just have to arrest himself. So like,
it's double jeopardy.
And it's a double jeopardy, and you can't do that. So that stops crime. So like, if Jillian steals the
Who's
ring,
gonna steal from the town anymore if he's the sheriff?
Yeah, if Jillian steals the ring, then gives it back to Jason to propose with, then it's fine.
Literally,
and also, if they get married, then half the shop
it
is
belongs
hers
to her anyways.
So
literally, she's offering him the ring, so it's only stealing if he doesn't accept the ring.
That's true. So it's he has to go to jail if he doesn't marry her. This is such a quality ship. This is like one of the most quality Odyssey ships we've ever had.
It's true. Absolutely.
Oh man.
And I'm so excited that we're getting
Jillian
kind of like its full blue. I don't know if it's the climax of this ship. I feel like that would be moving a little fast, but certainly the first big blooming and explosion of development for this ship in like a big exciting saga arc.
I feel like before this episode, people would be able to make the argument that it's not like an actual ship, despite the bit where they were pretending to be a couple.
We've had naysayers before.
And yet in this episode, it's just blatantly facts. It's so good. It feels so good to be right.
Yeah, it does. Okay, we should...
as much as I love them, part of me is like, maybe they should stop putting Wellington and Jillian in episodes, because I can never focus on anything else that happens in an episode when those two are there, because they're just the best characters in this show. We are the #1 Jillian stans. We are the #1 Jillian fans in this entire community. I'm the #1 Wellington fan, but we're both the #1 Jillian fan.
Oh, she's such a good character.
If Jillian has 100 fans, we will be 2 of them. If Jillian has 50 fans, we will be 2. If she has 10 fans, if she has 1 fan, it'll be because I murdered you.
Yeah, I was going to say if there's 0 fans, it's because we died.
Yeah, and if she has 0 fans, it's because we died after listening to her and Jason get engaged.
Yeah. Okay, should we talk about part 2, title unknown?
Yeah, I still have the legitimate problem of sometimes when I think of my favorite Jillian Marshall moments, my first thought is Christmas bells, and then I'm like, wait, she's not in that episode.
I did think about Christmas bells when I was listening to this episode earlier.
I honestly think of, every time I think about Jillian, I'm like, Christmas bells is such a funny episode, and then I'm like, wait, no, that's just me.
The version of Christmas bells that lives in my head is so funny.
The version of Christmas bells that live in my head is not only so funny, more plot relevant, and more musically incredible. It's also the best episode of the entire series.
Okay, let's end our discussion of morning there and move on to afternoon, question mark.
11sies.
Lunchtime. So, episode 947.
Stop looking at me like
I'm
that.
not. I've wiped the look off my face.
Okay.
Episode 947, afternoon, written by Kathy Buchanan. It's been like 60 seconds since I turned off the fan, and I'm already starting to sweat again.
Why don't you turn it back on?
Because the audio will be terrible.
Fine. You gotta grab your fan. I know you have a fan.
Yeah, it broke on Sunday while we were playing games. So
no.
It's been the pin that holds it has been like, going forever because I've used it a lot, and then
you could probably fix that.
And well, it was welded on, so
You can... Well, back.
Yeah, I'll grab my soldering iron.
You can... I don't know. You know, like those like scrapbooking things, like the pin things that you like bend
a
out.
duotang. Oh,
Yeah.
that might actually work. It would need to be thinner than a duotang, though.
You can buy like a bunch of different types at like the
Yeah.
dollar store and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
I've had to
know. I'd
buy
have
them
to,
for
like,
like club
go
things
get
in the
one.
past.
It'd be easier just to take like a needle or something, or maybe a paperclip wire and bend it around.
Do you have pliers? You probably have pliers.
I have many types of pliers.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
Anyways.
It might break though, but
anyways, Afternoon, written still by Kathy, the mad woman. She is...
Okay, can I go on record? I think the next episode is going to be called Night, or like Nighttime or something.
Already?
I didn't think we jumped to Afternoon that fast.
Okay, but you think we're jumping over evening entirely?
That's not a real word, Devin.
If we're jumping to night, that doesn't leave us a lot for the remaining 6 episodes. Like I said, the last episode should overlap with should be morning time also. Like, I don't know what they'll call it.
It's going to be called Morning 2.
I mean, that's the joke I made before. Yeah, but like, I mean, we have 4 hours of overlap because it's 28 hours.
We didn't get 11 seas.
We did not.
Unfortunately.
Or noon.
Noon.
Anyways, so what happens in this episode, Victoria?
Okay, so I listened to this one, I think immediately after we recorded the last one, so I might need, I don't know, like a little bit of refresher.
Okay.
On one or two things. Okay, so first things off, I was right about a lot of my predictions in the last one. So Jason has been, he been man napped, he been boy napped, he been Whitaker napped.
He been guy taken.
He been guy taken. So Jason Guy Taken Whitaker was Guy Taken, and he has a couple fumbling little takers who are watching him, doing their best. One doesn't talk a lot, one does. You got Big Guy and Little Weaselly Guy. I started wondering if it was like the Whisperer or something like that.
I was like, there's no way they'd do that to us again.
Did you think of the Whisperer, though?
Well, I mean, I thought of the episode, like, I connected it in my mind. I, for 0 seconds, believed that the Whisperer was behind this.
For the amount of impact the Whisperer's had on the series, and the amount the fans hate him, it is so funny to me that there have been so many episodes since album 50 where characters are put in scenarios and I go, is this the Whisperer? Like, he doesn't deserve that, yet it's happened so many times.
I mean, I'll say this. I didn't expect it to actually be the chairman of Andromeda Incorporated.
We will get there. We will get there.
We sure will.
So after Guy Taken has been taken for a bit, and he's talking to the takers get the crap beaten out of them, basically.
Yes.
By,
he gets taken too.
By a ninja. And then
and I was like,
Jason
this is sooner
gets
than I expected.
Taken 2, starring Liam Neeson. I don't know what happens in that one. I've only seen the first. I think it's the wife in the second one.
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember if I've seen the second one.
And so the new taker is our favorite taker and our favorite talker. It's Jillian. It's Jillian Marshall, who is serious now. Serious Jillian.
Yes, she's doing her serious voice that we were talking about last time. We were like, wow, she sounds like Monica. Ha ha ha.
But we're like, haha, so funny if Novacom stuff comes up, but it wouldn't.
Also, Whit and Pullhouse have been tracking Jason, and they're just behind Jillian unknowingly.
Yes. And they're just like, where did our boy go? Who's been Guy Taken? And they're like, he got Taken 2, starring Liam Neeson. And they're like, oh no.
I like how you keep saying it like Taken 1 doesn't also star Liam Neeson.
Doesn't it? Does it?
Yes.
When was the last time you checked? Are you sure it does?
I am sure, yes.
I think you should check again. So, while Full House and Wit are trying to figure out what's going on. They don't do much in this episode. They're basically just trying to like keep up with the plot. They're trying their best.
Keeping up with the Marshalls.
Keeping up with our favorite taker, Jillian Double L Marshall. Double L taker, which is talking, what she's doing to Jason right now. They're talking about everything that's going on. She's like, I'm part of the NSA. And he's like, no, I'm part of the NSA. And she's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, that's my queen.
She's like, shut up, old man. You retired.
That
this is stolen
made me
valor.
laugh so hard. I don't think I actually laughed, but I was just like listening to that, and I was just like, yes, Jillian.
You tell him
like,
what's what.
All those jokes we made in the past about Jason being like, I'm gonna join the NSA again, and Jillian being like, no, you're not going to. This felt like the closest we're ever gonna get to something like that. So it was very good. So it turns out Jillian has been sent here, which I don't remember if we theorized that or not. I think we might have. I think you might have.
Probably.
That she was like sent to keep an eye on Jason.
The whole time.
Yeah. So she's basically been a plant, which is so funny if you think about it. Just like her selling her jewelry and stuff outside of like Jason's place and him being like, get off my property. And then like going through like failing working with Eugene and all these other people. And then Jason's like, oh, I'll give you a job. And she's like, really?
And she was like, idiot.
I love Jillian so much. I love that she fought every single person. I did send Evan a message.
She must have such a low opinion of Jason's spy abilities that he hasn't caught on.
She does. She's like, he's such a loser. I can't believe it.
Why are all these people even after him?
It's like that incorrect quote where it's just like, this person's such a loser. I hate them so much. I can't believe I have to sleep with them. And then another person's like, you don't have to.
Well, no,
like,
I'm going to.
No, I'm gonna. So Jillian is doing everything. She's explaining the whole deal to Jason. I did send Evan a couple messages the night before last night.
I don't remember when.
And I was saying, like, my only thing is part of me wants to be like, Jason, if you do not like Jillian at her silly, you do not deserve her at her serious. He was definitely sounding a little smitten in this episode. But, like, I think he was just in denial about his feelings before and definitely had them. At least I want to. So now he's just kind of, like, not as in denial after what happened.
And now I feel fearful again that all of her feelings are an act.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are,
but there's the definite like plausible deniability that they could be.
She might not be a Christian though now.
There's the plausible deniability that she could be faking her
feelings.
She's
not a Christian, she's probably gonna leave the show or something like that. I'm willing to say. If we lose another Jason love interest for the same reason we've lost literally every single other Jason love interest, I'm gonna lose my mind. Except for Connie, who is too young.
Once she explained that she's always been here because of Jason, that's when I started to worry that this is the end of Jillian, is this arc, and that she'll leave after this.
I want her to stay.
I want her to stay so bad, but also
I want her personality to stay too. I was pretty worried about that, but then Jason, when he was going over everything, he was just like, "So you did this and this, and you missed all these shifts because people were trying to murder me and stuff." And Jillian was like, "Yeah, I'm super cool." And then she like hits a giant like jump, and he's like, "Whoa, she's so neat." And then,
but what you mean she hits a giant pothole, and he's like, "Where did you learn how to drive?"
And then
in her head, she was like, "Oh, so awesome," and he's like, "Old man
like,
shakes."
I'm so cool, and Jason's just like screaming.
Old man shakes fisted employee.
And then Jason's just like, "What secret poisons were in this vase that you broke?" And she's just like, "Oh, I accidentally tripped over that vase and broke it." And then he laughs, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, so, I mean, we expressed it a little bit at the end of talking about Morning a couple of minutes ago, but when we heard Jillian do her, like, serious voice at the end, We were like,
I miss her normal voice.
it would have been funny if she was like
I really
talking
hope her serious voice is also like
an act.
an act.
That's what
where
I'm hoping
it's
so
like
bad
it's
because
like Rosa Diaz's, like Stephanie Beatriz.
yeah,
Where it's just like the perky voice is the real one,
uh-huh.
and then like the serious voice is the act. That's
Yeah.
what I want.
We heard her serious voice, and I was like, it's funny hearing her code switch. Like, you know, this is all exciting, and everything's popping off sooner than we thought it would. But also, I really like the idea of Jillian going into super spy mode, but she's still talking like this. She's like, "Don't worry, everything's going according to plan, literally." And so she spent so much of the episode
I'm part of
just
the
like
NSA, Jason. You're not an agent anymore.
Jason.
Jason.
You
were guy taken, and I had to fight all of them like a ninja to save you.
I even found the sweater that I planted in the dumpster, like the one video that I saw where there was a bunch of ferrets and they were living in a dumpster. Or was it turtles? I don't remember.
Jason's like, I remember you sent me that video. And Jilly's like, oh, you did watch it. You told me you didn't.
She spent so much of the episode talking in her, like, serious voice now, which does still sound eerily reminding me of Melissa Disney as Monica, which...
Honestly, it doesn't remind me of Monica,
I mean,
really.
it's just the fact...
Sexist Devin. All women sound the same, Devin.
Exactly.
Misogynist Devin.
Yeah, that's what they call me. It's just... like you said, I worry that if Jillian stays on, that if she doesn't have to maintain her cover, that she's not going to act like she did before. We're going to lose a lot of what we loved about Jillian because it's just an act. The thing that still made me had hope in it was when Jason commented on
the vase.
No, not that for me. I mean, the vase was nice, but it was like, so that line yesterday when you asked me if an egg is a fruit or a vegetable, and then she starts like snorting and laughing. She was like, "Oh, I love that one so much. I'm glad you appreciate it." I was just being delighted, picturing like Connie and Jules asleep each night, and Jillian is in her room over a desk, just like coming up with these dumb lines to say to Jason to reinforce her cover, and just like giggling to herself at like what's like the dumbest thing she can come up with to ask him.
I found the right quote to summarize my feelings on Julia Marshall as a character pre this arc, and the reason why I'm so worried. Actually, I think I can put we in this quote as I change it a little bit, because I think we both share this opinion. We are Julian Marshall's right-hand arm man. We're Julian Marshall's everything. We're his confidant, her best friend, her silly rabbit. Does she call you that? No.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best way to address the topic.
The Oddcast, the question was, is this your handwriting?
I'm Jillian Marshall's silly rabbit.
Yeah.
And she's my silly rabbit.
What happens in the rest of the episode?
So Jillian puts Jason at a safe house, and...
Which is?
Is it at, like, near Trickle Lake?
It's the TV station.
Oh, okay. I forgot where it was.
Yeah, so we forgot to bring that up in part 1, but when they found the hoodie that Jillian had put in the dumpster, it was a hoodie for Station 10, and Paul House was all like, ugh, and I was like, why is he intimidated by Skye Feldstein? It's like, I mean, we've only seen her like twice before as a character.
She's like Jillian's secret agent partner or something.
No, she's just Skye Feldstein. But he was like acted intimidator in the first part, and I was like, okay, don't know why. She doesn't have a reputation or anything that we're aware of.
So that means Jillian was the thief then.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't know why she did that though.
No, we don't know that part yet. I mean, we could guess. She knew plans were moving into action today, so she probably needed to destroy a bug or to plant something or something, and we'll find out. I mean, here's the big question. It's because it is still kind of ambiguous at the end. Is Jillian part of the chairman's plan, or is she actually a good guy?
I was going to ask you that thing. First, let's finish the summary, and then we can talk about the chairman and stuff. So Jillian puts Jason in the safe house, and I basically had the same reaction to Jillian telling Jason not to leave the safe house as I did to Kyrie telling Riku when he was leaving for Quadratum, like Kyrie and the fairy godmother being like, you have to come back or tell someone if you get in trouble and you need help. And Jillian being like, okay, make sure you don't leave. And I was sitting there like, you know he's not gonna do that. I was like, he's an idiot. He's not gonna do the logical thing that'll keep him safe.
Yeah, so her safe house is some, like, unused basement rooms at the TV station, and basically when she did her job application there on the cover of, like, 5 albums ago, when she and Kayla Calhoun were both, I was going to say auditioning, which I guess it kind of was, when they were both interviewing to be the new meteorologist for the news, and Jillian was applying to work there, and she snuck around and scoped out, like, some unused places, and basically, like, I assume stole a key to get into this, like, a back area unseen that's unused, and she took a hoodie and stuff like that, and secretly set up this back way in. So that is how her connection is connected to the hoodie that she used and she put in the dumpster, and as we guessed, she knew what was in there because she was the one who planted it.
The direction I'm hoping they're going with Jillian, if she doesn't leave at the end of this album, is I want her to simultaneously be the most competent and incompetent character
Yes, exactly.
in Odyssey history.
Yes.
Because, it's like she's Sherlock Holmes.
She already
she
has
been.
no
idea what she's doing.
She already has been. She's been hyper competent in, like, Nightmares by Constance.
Yeah, that's true.
At spying stuff, and we all watched that and we're like, imagine if she really was a spy.
Yeah. And then it changed the course of our lives. Julian Marshall as a character truly was a cultural reset for Odyssey. So Jillian is like, Jason, I'm serious, trust me, do not leave. And he's just like, okay. And I'm like, Jason Whittaker, I'm gonna duct tape you to a wall or something like that. Mm-hmm. So Jillian leaves, and then I think we get the chairman right after that.
Yeah.
And then
Whit and Polhouse are still trying to figure out where.
Yeah. So you give the direct summary because you just re-listened to that bit of what they see in the chairman scene, so I don't mess anything up.
Okay. There is a guy, and he's surprised the chairman of Andromeda is in the scene, and I was like. Literally, I heard that scene. I was like, at the end, I was like, no, it really.
They ended the scene and they're just like, all right, Mr. Chairman, and I was like, I messaged Devin. I was like, when are you gonna listen to the new episode?
I was like, you never asked me about that, and I'm glad you didn't.
No, I like messaged you after, and I was just like, hey,
you said,
do you want to
record
like soon or something?
I was like, it really is the chairman? Because, like, 5 seconds earlier...
I didn't want to say anything, because then you would have had expectations. Yeah, but I was like, let's record soon.
5 seconds earlier in the scene, I was like, this boss guy's voice is really familiar.
I didn't even recognize the voice.
And as soon as he said the chairman, I, like, played back Exit in my mind, because the end of Exit is the only scene where the chairman actually speaks in the entire show.
I thought there was, like, another episode that talked about the chairman that we got.
They talk about the chairman, because I looked it up. I thought he was in at least 2 episodes in 38, but no, he's mentioned in 3 episodes, but he only appears in 1 scene at the end of Exit.
Okay, what are the other episodes he's mentioned in?
Like, the previous 3 episodes to that.
I thought he appeared, like, in mention again since Novacom ended. In the last, like, bit.
I don't think so.
Okay. Or at least in the post-Novacom stuff, but I guess I was wrong.
I mean, the only time...
Maybe I was thinking of Charles or something.
The only time we've mentioned a bunch of stuff at once was in Something Old, Something New, when Mitch came back, and Penny brings up, she was like, what about, like, that Charles guy, or, like, the doctor in the mineral, or something like that, and she, like, name-dropped a bunch of, like, old villains and stuff like that.
Penny be name-dropping, like, Tahani.
Yeah.
She mentioned Richard Maxwell, and I was like, don't tease me, Penny. Don't test me, Penelope.
Yeah, so he only appeared in the 1 episode, but as soon as I like the scene ended because I was like, his voice is familiar, and they said chairman, and then I immediately, my brain like replayed his voice where it's like, Thomas, grab my files, we need to get to the helicopter. And I was like, that is who I was thinking is familiar. It is the chairman. I believe it's the same voice actor and everything.
So what I did is they said like the chairman, and I was like, and then I immediately like opened my computer and I went on AIOO Wiki, and I was just like, okay, maybe it was just like a chairman and not the chairman.
Maybe he's
TM.
a super villain who's themed around chairs.
And then I went on the wiki, and it was like I didn't see anything about the chairman. Basically,
he doesn't even have a page. Yeah,
and
he's not.
Yeah, he
credited.
Didn't have a page. It's like they disappeared him. Ooh.
Yeah, well, if you type in chairman,
but I basically came away with the opinion of just like, yeah, that's 1,000,000% the chairman. And then when you messaged me a couple days ago, you're like, so the chairman. I was like, okay, I'm glad we're in agreement.
Yeah. So
that was a thing that happened.
It was a thing, and I was like, Kathy
Buchanan.
Kathy. Starting from the top. So we open Whit and Polehouse. They're trying to put stuff together, and then Jillian like bursts into the investigation, and she was like, "I'm gonna be a nuisance," and Polehouse picks her up by the scruff of the neck,
Polehouse
and kicks her
dabs and throws her
out of the office. And she was like, haha, I memorized everything you had on the board, and now I know where Jason is. And then she got there first because she used a heat-seeking drone to locate.
You said you thought Jason would be saved in like 2 episodes or something like that from being kidnapped. And I was thinking like, that sounds like so much for a 6-parter. And I was thinking like, I want Jillian to just get in there, fight a bunch of guys, and save Jason.
Her identity beyond a level of like, I'm Jillian Marshall, Jillian double Marshall would be exposed until a little bit later. I
mean, we still have the reactions of everyone else to go. Connie is gonna yell a lot.
Yeah, I
can't. Okay, whose reaction are you looking forward to more? Connie's or Polehouse's? Polehouse's brain is gonna melt. You know what I want to happen? I want there to be a scene where Polehouse is like helping clear everything up at the end of the album.
I'm picturing it right before you said it. I pictured it in my head.
Yeah. And so then they're just like, Polehouse, we need you to talk to like the chief agent on this case or something like that. And then they're like, she's over there. And then Polehouse like goes over somewhere, and then Jillian's just like, Agent Polehouse, and he's just like, not now, Jillian, I'm looking for like the NSA agent in charge. And she's like, that's me. And he's like, don't mess with me. And she like pulls out her badge, and he's like, what? And then it just like cuts like.
See, I was just picturing like he grabs one of the bad guys and he like handcuffs him. He's gonna bring him in, and Jillian shows up, and she's like, sorry, but I'm gonna take jurisdiction from here, and flashes her badge at him, and then he just like dumbfounded stands there as she takes the guy away from him.
He's never gonna get over this. He's never gonna move past this moment.
So anyway, they are working on it, and they are trying to track down what they know based on where Jason was at the time, and any footage from like where the ambulance did or did not make it. They give a bunch of descriptions of times of driving intersecting highways and county roads between here and Connellsville, which is cool. And we find out why in the last episode Polehouse was so horrified he was going to have to talk to Skye Feldstein, and it's not because it's like, she's like Margaret Faye, everyone hates, we're all intimidated by her.
Margaret Faye, did you mean the worst woman ever?
Fun fact, I never knew this before that I could remember, but when I looked at the chairman's page on AIOO Wiki, linked there like from Exit, I found out a piece of trivia, which was originally they planned to have Margaret Faye be the chairman, and then they scrapped that.
Oh,
and
I feel like I've heard that before.
That would have been a heinously stupid idea.
Can you imagine the chairman tries to marry Whit?
That would have been
for any like, I don't know, not because the chairman likes Whit or anything, but to get those machination stations.
It would have been such a bad writing choice if you're
That's
like, and it was
so
Margaret
funny. I
all
feel like I've
along.
heard that before, though, at one point.
I feel like I would have remembered that. But anyways, we find out the reason he was so scared to have to talk to her about the sweater that the burglar was wearing, and I couldn't figure out why. It's because I had been shot by Chekhov's blind date.
I just, you know, what you should make is like, there's only one, like, Odyssey writer sitting at a table and you there too, and then you have like a sign and it says like there's only one thing worse than Margaret Faye, and you rip off like a thing and it says like the chairman. No, it'd say there's only one thing worse than the chairman,
and I rip it
and
off
then you
and
rip
it says
off
Margaret,
and they're like
like
Margaret Faye. And you're like, no.
Yeah. And that's why they call me the misogynist, as you were saying.
It's so funny. Of the characters we've really decided to just like be apologists for, I chose like Wellington and Jay, and you chose Margaret Faye, which is
she's been done so dirty
so
by this
funny
show.
to me.
So yeah, Skye Feldstein and Polehouse went on blind date, and so that
Miss Adelaide is another person you're an apologist for.
Because she's a great character.
And
they over time have treated her better and better since 57, and I'm very happy for that. So we have this kidnapper guy, and he has kind of a nasally voice, and I like to talk a lot, and he sounded kind of like Emily and Maury and Suzu's new nemesis kids, that they weren't that guy.
In my head, I kind of imagined him as like a cross between like a really greasy, like stuck up hair, like 90s, either like main character in a comedy or like side character, combined with like that one rat in Flushed Away that's like very tiny. Know who I mean?
Which rat?
The one that's like friends with the pink albino rat. And he also has like a nyeh kind of voice.
Okay,
I'm gonna send you a picture of him.
All right.
You'll know who I'm talking about.
So he said when they hear Jillian pull up, and he was like, we weren't expecting anyone until after midnight to visit. Oh, also, he interrogates Jason on this and that and this and that, and the thing that they are asking for, ostensibly at least, that they want from Jason is his contacts at the Pentagon. And
hey, look at the picture, the one on the right. Like combine him with
him.
Yeah,
okay.
know what I mean?
The far with the one that's open. I see.
The tiny one
yes,
that's just like nah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, what they want is his contacts at the Pentagon. And we know it's something world-changing, whatever it is that they want, but we don't know exactly who. So is this applesauce related?
Apple taters. The applesauce baby program.
Yeah. And it's all going to tie back to the Blackguard books, which means it's all going to tie back.
They found it's a vault and it has the Jesus cloth in it.
The Young Wit series.
From
this
Young
is
Wit
all
series.
about the Jesus cloth. They're tied all
it's
together.
it's like a cell, and they put the professor in it.
What if the chairman is Professor Mongol?
I would laugh forever. I would never stop laughing. I'd be like, you know what? 10 out of 10, best episode in the series. I know Professor Mongol is probably dead, and basically confirmed to be dead, I believe, by Blackguard in the books. But like,
because
I need him
he's
to
like
appear
60 years old in the 30s.
Present day so bad. He's like 160 years old. I need him to show up present day, just because he'd just be the most bitter being.
Yeah, he would be approximately 150 years old.
He's lived that long on spite alone.
And he has the spite to feel it. So the guy asks him the questions, and Jason's talking to someone over a voice modulator. He's like, I'll ask you later if you don't want to talk to me now. And then they hear Jillian pull up in the Jeep, and they're like, that's weird. We're not expecting anyone until after midnight.
Jillian has a blow-up doll.
And normally I wouldn't make that much note of the line about expecting anyone after midnight, except, it's probably a pretty important detail when the time frame of each episode is so specific. Like,
True. Do you think it
moment
was
to
like the
moment.
chairman they were expecting?
I doubt it. In person? No way.
Maybe like maybe the guy the chairman was talking to
Oh,
or
so
someone
yeah.
else.
So you asked me about what happened in the scene. I guess I'll say now just so we can bring it up.
Because they were talking about like sending someone somewhere and like Jillian being in the right place or something.
Yeah. So
Also, they know where Jason is right now.
no, they don't.
Oh,
The
they don't. Okay.
guy, well, kind of. They know he's with Jillian.
Yeah.
The guy who's talking to the chairman, who's like kind of British, he says that Agent One has informed him that Whitaker is now with Marshall and they don't know where. And they're like, it doesn't concern us for the moment. Like, we know he's with Jillian. We were told this by Agent One, who is probably someone on surveillance and is probably not the talkative guy in the shack who got beat up by Jillian, especially because, according
That
to
guy
him,
was a new employee. He's definitely not Agent One.
exactly. So Agent One knows that Jason was taken by Jillian. They don't know where they are, but that what do they call him? It was like Vicious Cobra or Emerald Cobra or something like that will be like moving in to take him or to get things, and everything's still going according to plan, and the next 24 hours will be ones that the world will never forget. So they just refer to her as Marshall, but there's a familiarity, like they're like, oh, we both know who she is, which either means that she's working for them and it's all part of the plan, or it means that they've known that she was the one who's there and has been thwarting their plans the whole time.
Yeah.
And so they know who she is.
I don't want to think Jillian's been a bad guy this whole time.
I don't think that that's what they're going to do.
I could see her being like a triple agent or something like that.
I've been thinking about that.
Would that be a double agent in this case?
That's the thing I keep thinking about, because I was like, just her being an undercover agent isn't a double agent in the first place, because her main cover is just, I'm just a weirdo who works at the antique shop. So I wouldn't
just a little birthday boy.
I wouldn't say the fact that she works for the NSA is a double agent, but I was like, what if she's actually an NSA agent who's actually working for Novacom, but actually is working. So she's like a triple agent who's also undercover.
But she's actually been married to Jason this whole time. Jason's like, what? And she like holds up papers
like
that he didn't realize he signed.
It's like the tourist. And she was like, this whole time I really was married to Jason before it even began.
She's like, I figured out a while ago, Jason, that the easiest way to protect you is if we're legally married, because I have all these like privileges I don't have otherwise. So I kind of tricked you into signing marriage papers, told you they were like a thing you had to sign for.
Yeah, it was just a way bill for the antique shop.
Which I wouldn't want that to happen, because that would cross a lot of boundaries. But
no, it's she's like, remember when you did that play with me called The Marvelous Marriage that I set up? So it was sooner than we expected, but exactly how we predicted with regards to the album art. Literally exactly how I was like, oh, that's Jillian, and exactly how you predicted the reveal would go.
It also had that line when Jillian came into the cabin where she was like, oh, is that Bear in the Big Blue House? Mm-hmm. As she was untying Jason.
Exactly, yeah. It's exactly like both of us said, where it's like, that was Jillian in the scene, and also it was because she like beat up the people. And then Jason's like, who is that masked fighter?
Who is that attractive masked fighter?
Yeah.
And Jillian's like, it's me.
Jillian Marshall. So Jillian's like, I'm with the NSA, and the whole time I've been here, it was just to protect you. I was like, so she's like Sharon Carter, and she's like, my mission was to be a nurse and live across the hallway from you. And I'm basically just like your
She's like Sharon Carter, but oh wait. I was gonna say if her character didn't get dumb like Sharon Carter's did, but we haven't finished the album yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's insane that Jason is considered, after retirement, he's considered such a valuable asset who's in so much constant danger that they need like a talented...
You know what it is? It's the fact that he always keeps flip-flopping between being in the NSA and not. They're like, we should just get rid of him. It'll be easier.
Yeah, she's not protecting Jason. She's babysitting him.
She is babysitting him, honestly.
It's insane he's considered such a high risk factor and so valuable and such a big target that they'd have a talented full-time agent dedicating her entire mission to living permanently undercover just to protect one former employee.
Which, like, honestly, I feel like there were better ways she could have done this. I don't know. Maybe if she pretended to be, like, less incompetent, Jason would have been more suspicious. Is the only thing.
I mean,
but,
that's her reasoning.
Living with Connie and being Connie's roommate is smart, and Connie and Jules are wonderful. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there could have been a way, like, she got maybe even closer. Like, I don't know, just like
I'm excited for how cool
him.
Jules is.
Although maybe she would have felt bad, like getting married to Jason or something, and then it was like, hey, I'm a secret agent.
I mean, then it really would have been Spy Family,
or Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So.
Thing.
Yeah, I'm like 60% disappointed that Jillian doesn't sound as bouncy and fun as always, and it was all an act. Like, it would be so good for my soul.
I'm still holding out hope that this voice could also be an act. I'm probably wrong, but
I am holding out the hope that, like, she'll be like, oh no, I am actually like this. Like, in the moment, I needed you to trust me, and so I had to act like a normal person. So you wouldn't jump out of the car while I was rescuing you. But I am just like this. It's so good. And then Jillian explains the thing with the TV station. I was like, okay, we were wondering if she was the one who broke into the shop, and we talked about it last time, and we forgot to talk about the Sky Feldstein thing. And if we had talked about it, I think I was going to bring up the fact that, oh yeah, and Jillian applied there for a job as a meteorologist, as we all remember. Amazing connection to have made that back then. And she was like, oh yeah, explains to JC. He's like, but I just happened to hire you after you failed at like all these other places. She was like, it was
Kathy,
all part of my plan.
Plotting out all of Jillian's episodes and listening back to him for this have like giant like red strings on a wall. And
she was like, it was all part of my plan. And all the other failed jobs I did was like me staking out other locations.
Everything connects to a giant picture of Jason in the middle. And then she like circles him with like a red marker, but it's like a heart.
I just can't believe that Jillian has been like, that Jason has been Mr. Magoo, just dancing around, not realizing there's all these assassination attempts and kidnapping attempts around him, while Jillian is being Guillermo and just protecting him.
It's such a good analogy. Everywhere. I have to start listening or watching the new episodes.
Yeah, I haven't watched the new season yet. She's just like Guillermo protecting him from all these things, and he doesn't realize that they're happening.
I really want just like a remake of the fight scene between Nandor and Guillermo.
As Jillian and Jason?
With Jason and Jillian. And then Jason just like snapping at Jillian for like being incompetent at work or something like that. And being like, you're fired or something. And she's like, I could have killed you so many times by now.
You're only alive
if not
because
through,
I
like,
let
my
you
own
live.
neglect than by my very own hand. And then just like having a knife in his throat and Jason being like, okay,
if she did that before her spy reveal, like, she flips off and she's, he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, the only reason you're alive is because I let you live. And we'd be like...
I would have been like, she can do what she wants. Like, Jillian is the best character.
think...
Honestly, before the spy reveal, I would have still been like, even if I didn't think she was a spy, I would have been like, you're right.
Here's the thing.
That's true.
I think Jillian can do what she wants.
We've already said that so many times.
She will.
Jillian is one of the only characters in Odyssey where it's like, you can do literally anything you want. It's fine. Bless.
So yeah, I'm still moderately suspicious of Jillian because
I think that's fair.
Here's the thing I'm trying to figure out. I assume that at the least she already knew that Jason was going to get taken and she was planning on letting it happen. Because when Jason got kidnapped at the last episode, her phone call was
she was like, everything's going
according to plan. I have it all in hand and stuff. And she broke into the shop at the exact same time that it was happening. She purposefully didn't show up to work so that these things would happen. So I assume that she purposefully let Jason get kidnapped this time so she can draw out the chairman. Wait,
I just realized Wait, you keep talking.
It's just
Sorry.
it's like the Whisperer. Um,
It all comes back to the
yeah,
whisper.
we still don't know what's going on with that doctor guy who's friends with Joseph. I assume he's a bad guy, probably.
Probably. I
Um,
don't trust him at all.
and then at the end, she sets Jason off, and then she sounds so soft when she's like, "Jason, be careful."
Yeah, it's the soft
He's like,
moments. It's the
I was like,
soft.
her feelings aren't an act.
Wait, sorry. What's their ship name again?
Jilson. How could you
Jilson.
keep
It's the
forgetting?
soft Jilson moments that really get me in the heart. I love
Yeah.
them. But like, okay, you know how we made all those jokes about like jealous Jillian or like protective
Being like
Jillian,
yandere.
and then like Tasha coming back into the picture and being like, "Stay away from Jason."
Uh-huh.
I just realized that like Jillian and Tasha probably know each other. What do you think the chances were?
Had not.
Yeah, I just,
Considered
as you
that.
said all that stuff, I just thought I thought you were gonna say like you didn't think about that yet, but I'm glad I'm seeing your
Didn't
reaction.
think about. I like how Jason's like, I'm not predictable, and she was like, you run 0.68 miles every morning. You love gummy worms, and you were gonna fire
Oh,
me
Jason
tomorrow.
being like, "Can we get some gummy worms?" And she's like, "Yes, we can." It was really cute.
And then she went through the drive-thru, bought one black coffee, and kept driving. And she's like, and you were gonna fire me tomorrow morning. And he's like, that doesn't take a genius to figure out.
But what do you think the chances were that the NSA was just like, okay, we need someone to start watching Jason, like after the Whisperer stuff and after like Green Ring, where
After
got
the
like
stiletto,
kidnapped
yeah.
and all the stuff in like 55. They're just like, we need someone to start watching this guy, and so then
And Jillian is right. If Jason knew what was going on, he would have done everything in his power to like dodge her oversight and curfew at all moments of the day, no matter what was going on.
Yeah.
He would have been like, "You're not my mom," no matter what is going on.
He would have ripped out his own IV and ran away from her.
He would have ripped out his own tracking chips.
So what do you think the chances are that the NSA was just like, okay, we need someone to start watching Jason because he is just he's gonna get guy taken again.
Yeah,
and
they're
so
like,
then
what kind of person does he keep on falling for?
they're just like Tasha, and she was like, no, I am I am done. Although she's like, I have like this stuff going on with like these other kids right now, like with Maury and Suzu. It's like I have other things to worry about. I don't want to see Jason again. And then
I was literally just there and expressly
Also-
went out of my way to not let Jason know that it happened.
deleted scene from the Maury Suzu
The Rydell
three-parter,
Revelations, yeah.
is just like is Jillian like driving to work to Triple J's, and then Tasha driving to
Umbrella
the
Academy.
treehouse, and then they just see each other and they're just like staring at each other, like the meme. And so like what do you want to bet? that
Jillian
Tasha's
drives
just
past
like,
and she sees Tasha. She's like, well, that's probably not good, but that's none of my business.
Yeah, exactly. Like, glad I don't have to worry about that. And Tasha's like, I'm so glad I don't have to see Jason again. Let me go deal with
They're
his
both
dad.
passing each other, like, glad I'm not in her car.
And so then Tasha was just like, maybe knew Jillian, was friends with Jillian, or met Jillian because of this, and was like, okay, you're going on the Whitaker case. Just like gives her like a whole book and just like thumps all these papers down. Jillian's like,
Jillian
is this
had
like
to
a
go through
contract? She's like,
Jason
no.
training.
These are notes you need to know on Jason. He's an idiot. Please make sure he doesn't get guy taken to starring Liam Neeson. And Jillian's like, gotcha.
Oh, could you imagine if where Jason is all of a sudden like, so wait a minute, if you worked at the NSA and you were assigned to me, then does that mean she was like, oh yeah, Tasha and me go way back? And he's like, oh no. And she was like, who do
When
you
you
think?
realize your current partner knows your ex-fiance.
And then he's like, wait, and she was like, Jason, who do you think trained me to be your handler?
Exactly. That's what
And
I'm
then he's
thinking.
like, oh, and he shrivels into an urchin,
All this
like
skin
those
sheds
cursed,
like a snake.
like when King Triton gets cursed by Ursula. He turns into a sea worm.
But yeah, anyway, that's my thought process on that.
So
I'm so glad I got to see your live reaction of realizing that they're probably friends.
the drama.
The only thing more for us than just like them interacting in the first place is realizing they've probably known each other for years.
What if Tasha never comes up between them until their wedding, and then it's like
Tasha's like invited to the wedding,
oh,
and Jason's like, "Are
oh.
you gonna sit on my side?" She's like, "No, I'm sitting on Jillian's side."
She's not invited to the wedding. They both walk up to the front, and
like
then the officiant turns around, and it's Tasha. And Jason's like, "What are you doing here?"
They're
so
like,
Jillian asked me to officiate.
"Dearly beloved," and Jason turns, and he's like, "Oh, Tasha, what are you doing here?"
It's like, I've had nightmares like this.
I know there are some people who like are friends with their exes, like after they break up. Could you imagine your ex officiating your wedding? Not even just like your ex, like who you dated for a bit.
Your ex-fiance.
Were with for like a long time, and you like basically jilted at the altar. Like, could you imagine that? That'd be so messy.
That you were like coworkers, partners, and best friends with for years, then turned dating, then turned fiance, and then jilted them at the altar.
That's so messy.
And then continued to have to work with them after that.
The drama. I would not be able to handle that. I'd be like, actually, I can't get married under these conditions. Can we go to the courthouse and just sign the papers?
But don't worry, Victoria. There's only one writer on the team who would do something with so much insane relationship drama.
I just want to say, I think Kathy would be willing to make a bunch of Tasha jokes. Kathy, I want to say, would never do that with Tasha. I could see maybe one of the guys, maybe even one of the past guy writers doing something like that, just for the drama. But I don't think Kathy would.
Oh, this. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that the chairman is after, like, Novacom-y stuff? Like, he's after radio wave study related
it's
technology?
Definitely something related to Novacom.
Or,
it wouldn't be him if it wasn't something related to
Novacom,
but I want to say. I also want them to try and kidnap. I want them to kidnap, like, Jason, and then Jason, can we both agree, he's going to get kidnapped as soon as he leaves the house. He's going to get
the TV station,
3, starring Liam Neeson also.
Yeah.
And Jillian is going to try to save him. Maybe she gets, like, kidnapped too. They're, like, tied back to back. They have, like, a long heart-to-heart. It's where the feelings are talked about. And then the chairman comes in, and Jason's just like, the chairman, TM, from the Novacom saga? That's exactly what his line is.
Yeah.
Same inflection, too.
Literally, when I finished this episode, I was like, they're going to have to release DLC for the Novacom collection.
And so then he's going to be, like, talking to Jason. He's like, but also Jillian Marshall, or we'll find out Jillian Marshall isn't her real name. And he's just like, top agent in the NSA, broke all these records. And he starts, like, naming them. And Jason's like, hey,
he comes
you
in.
beat my records and all the things.
He comes in, he's like,
those were my records.
Finally.
And Jillian's just like, your records suck. I beat them on my first try.
Finally, my greatest foe. My eternal nemesis,
Jillian
Marshall.
Like, I was your eternal nemesis. And like, not everything's about you, Jason.
They both turn to him and they're like, shut up, Jason. This isn't about you.
I just want Jason to, like, go through...
He's like, Jason, I only kidnapped you to get to Jillian.
Jason goes through this entire album, and just every single time he's just like, oh, they're after me. I'm like, no, they're after Jillian. She's much cooler than you are. And he's like, oh, how dare you?
They're like, Jason, you didn't even do that much against us or have that much knowledge of the radio wave study.
You just
the first
kind of
time.
got, like, seduced by our spy.
And the only reason she went
by her.
The only reason she went after you is because Eugene mailed the disc to you.
And he's like, hey... That's
You're
true,
right,
but that still hurts my feeling. And it was like, also, Jason, you didn't even stop her from getting the disc. And then you got addicted to your Nova box. And he's just like, that is not the point. And and then the chairman's like, you know who wouldn't have gotten addicted to her, like, the Nova box? And Jillian and the chairman are just both like, Jillian?
He's like, I'm here for the person who worked on the original radio wave study. And it turns out that Jillian was one of the people who worked with Eugene, and he doesn't recognize her.
It turns out Jillian is a robot Eugene created, and he forgot, even though she spent a bunch of time
because she never got those memories back after album 44.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he got them back with the help of the radio wave study research used in the Imagination Station. And she
Jillian
put in
Marshall E-Girl.
So what do you think is going to happen?
I genuinely do think Jason is immediately going to leave the house and get kidnapped.
Well, yeah, I mean...
I give him maybe like 2 minutes.
They have a snake man coming for him, so I assume he's just going to go knock on the door and Jason's going to open it and be like, hello? And then they're just going to
hello?
take it. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, pizza delivery. He's like, I didn't order.
Points to Jillian if she's just waiting outside the house for Jason to get kidnapped, and then she just follows.
Yeah,
the guy who kidnapped her.
She let Jason go inside.
If she really has been watching Jason this carefully and knows so much about him, she should know that he's not going to stay in the house.
It's true. If she expects him to stay there, then that's the L for Jillian, honestly, because she should know better. I can only assume if she's doing her job correctly.
Jillian, I love you. Babe, I will not be able to defend you on this one.
If she's doing her job correctly, what she should do is let Jason go in there, the door closes, and then she locks the car and she just squats in a bush beside Jay and waits for someone to come take Jason.
Jay sees her and he's like, first time? She's like, nah.
She's like, I invented this.
I invented this check. You owe me so many like royalty fees. I like to think that like Jillian has like, I don't know, like ownership over half the bushes, and Jay has the other half of bushes, and they just like part-time share who gets to hide where. Also, can I just say, the funniest thing to maybe come out of this episode is that if you change what Jillian was doing in Christmas Bells, or at least like make it so she was like working on spy documents, and then you just apply that to every single Jillian episode, like the joke I initially made where it's just like Jillian's just doing like wild stuff in the background of every episode is now canon. So like Christmas Bells canon. I'd say that's a win for us. High five me.
Yeah, she was like 4 kidnapping attempts and 7 wiretaps and disposed of mysterious like anthrax that was like sent in a letter to you.
What's anthrax?
Is it
like poison?
It's a super contagious bacteria that can just be a white powder.
Yikes.
It was a thing, I don't know, in the 90s where people...
That sounds like a type of rat poison. That sounds like something they would give the rats at NIM.
Well, I mean, that's why it has a name. I mean, Thrax from Osmosis Jones is named after.
I remember Thrax.
Is named after anthrax. What episode was it where they were like, that's what the thing basically was in the Labyrinth. It was basically like they named it something different, but it was basically
the episode or the movie.
The episode.
Okay.
In album 55 was they're like, here's this powder and we'll put it in vents and it'll make everyone sick. It was a thing, I'm sure we talked about it at the time. I don't remember when it was. It was a big scare in like the 90s and the 2000s where people would basically...
Everything was a big scare in the 90s.
It's true. People would start putting in envelopes and like mailing it to politicians and stuff like that so that like if the mail wasn't vetted, you would like open the letter, inhale it, and die.
I remember there's that joke in Jingle All the Way where like there's a bomb in the mail.
Well, that's also a thing that people do.
Yeah. That's not cool. Hey, PSA. Don't mail bombs or anthrax, you sick.
Yeah, they should always be hand-delivered.
Yeah. Get that personal touch.
Yes.
Where you die too. That's part of the personal aspect.
Yeah, so the chairman is ostensibly after something to do with the Pentagon, but that could just be smoke and mirrors, so Jason doesn't know what they're actually after, or who is actually behind it. that they seem to have some amount of like, oh, we have layers of subterfuge going on, which may or may not mean that we think Jillian is working for us or not.
Okay, so summary predictions, main points. Jason's gonna get kidnapped like immediately. Jillian's gonna go after him.
Jillian is probably going to end up running into Pullhouse and Wit, and they're going to be really sus because she has the car that'll match the tracks that led away from the thing. Because
I'm excited to see people who don't know Jillian is like an agent, her interacting with people and just pretending to be normal.
Because the big thing when Wit and Pullhouse found the cabin and they talked to the goons is they're trying to figure out whether or not Jason was rescued or whether he was double kidnapped. And I was like, I'm also wondering that right now, honestly, because Jillian could just be trying to get Jason to trust her. And I'm leaning overall.
I mean,
right
I
now,
definitely think she's trying to get him to trust her,
yes,
but I don't
obviously.
think it's for nefarious reasons.
I'm
Or at least even
towards...
if she does have like another motive, I think it's for something good.
I am overall leaning towards the idea that Jillian is a good guy.
I definitely think Jillian's a good guy. If not, then
I don't think I could take...
I'm going to feel so betrayed.
I don't think I could take the emotional
damage.
I
emotionally cannot handle the idea of Jillian not being a good guy. I also emotionally cannot handle the idea of Jillian leaving the show once this album ends.
Yes.
I will cry. That is a threat. Kathy, please. I have like so much banked on the knowledge that Kathy wants Connie to have more female friends. So I'm using that to say Jillian isn't going to leave. Because then she'll only have Penny and Jules shouldn't count. Because that's
who's
basically her kid, so...
Yeah, whose sister counts as their friend, like, for real?
No, what I'm saying is it's fine if your sibling is your friend. If they're like
she's her guardian.
Your only friends, that's sad.
Okay.
Devin, you have more friends than just me. Don't pretend you don't. I know who your friends are. You and me have mainly the same friend group.
I know.
So like, I know you have a lot of friends.
I know, Victoria. It's called a joke. Look it up.
Jokes has left the room, Devin.
Jokes will never leave the room. For these first 2 episodes, to pair them in terms of review, 5 out of 5. I mean, I did not expect so much to happen in the first 2 parts of this, and if we keep on at this pace, I cannot even imagine what Kathy still has in store for us by the end of this album.
Every now and then I just remember that like the chairman is back, and I'm like...
Yeah. Like, we were going to record, like, the day after I listened to it, which was, like, 5 days ago now, and it got to the end, and the chairman was there, and I was like, I was eating dinner with Alex, but I was just, like...
gasped really loudly.
I was halfway through eating dinner, and that scene happened, and Alex was sitting beside me eating, and I just had my headphones in. I was just staring there, like...
Did Alex notice?
No. They're just playing gotchas, looking at anime boys.
Oh, yeah, very engrossed in the gotcha life.
But yeah, and then you were like, I think that we're going to have to wait another like 5 days to record or so. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit on this. We almost resisted entirely talking about it until
we had to talk about it a little bit.
A little bit? I mean, come on.
We had to talk about it a little bit.
So, presumably evening, will be the next episode.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out tomorrow. I want to record it Friday night. I think I'll probably be
we can
busy.
We can do
just
because
I'm doing I'm doing a bunch of stuff Friday, but Monday night.
The next because
I think I should be able to
because it'll be not until a week and a day that the next 2 episodes are out, and apparently it'll then be another week after that before you're actually back in town. That will not be the next episode, otherwise people need to wait a long time for that. So we will put out the next episode after this one. Next time we will talk about Knox on Love and Results May Vary. And then after that, we will talk about evening and night, or whatever they're called, evening and midnight.
I want one episode to be called like the witching hour. They would
I
never do that.
I know. I had the same thought because I was like,
It'd be funny.
what else do you call early morning in a concise way? In my mind, I was like, at this point, maybe like evening, night, dawn.
What is the
morning
witching
too.
hour? Is that like 3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I didn't know until that recently. I always thought it was midnight.
No. I knew that for a while because they said it in like an early Sanders Sites episode.
Yeah. I didn't
So that's
learn,
where I
I
first
feel like,
learned it.
until a couple months ago that it was 3 a.m. and not midnight.
Yeah. And I also think they say like the devil's hour, and I can't remember if they say like that's like 5 a.m. or that's not a thing.
I would say it's 5 a.m. if you're
I
ever
can look up if that's a thing. I'm
if
probably
you're
going to
if
get
you're ever
weird
awake
Google
at 5
searches
a.m.
when I type in the
from
devil's
either
hour.
direction, I would definitely describe that experience as the devil's hour.
Okay, I guess some people also call 3 a.m. the devil's hour.
Well, I figured it was the same thing.
Instead of the
yes.
witching hour.
I figured it was the same thing, but I think 5 a.m. is the most apt.
I think it's appropriate to call 5 a.m. the devil's hour because you really feel like you're in hell if you're still awake at that time of
If
night.
you're still awake or if you're already awake, either way.
Yeah, either way, it sucks.
So next time we're talking about Knox on Love. I was going to say Knox on Wood. Knox on Love and results
Knox
may
on
vary.
wood.
Yeah. Results may vary. And then after that, we'll be continuing with Evening and Night. And that way, we'll be able to get you the episodes as soon as possible as they're coming out. Excuse me. And then the one after that should be the close of the album. So, that's what we're doing next time. Until then, thank you for joining us on our side of the YouTube. I have been Devin Francis, also known as Dr. Blackard.
And I'm hoping everything's gonna go good with Jillian.
Goodbye.
Bye.